If it happens, Bud Crawford, oh, absolutely. We'll be there, Stephen A. We'll see Bud Crawford and Canelo. And I want to see that fight. But I would rather see him fight Benavidez. I agree with you.
It's like just the whole stat. Crawford is leading. And so I do think that it's a tough fight, but I would lean more towards Crawford simply of his, skill set.
He's going to be able to sustain throughout the fight.
Shannon Sharpe did not hold back as he cautioned Canelo Alvarez about the dangers of facing Terence Crawford. Live on air, he warned that despite fighting at 147 pounds, Crawford had consistently sparred with bigger men and handled them well. Sharpe stressed that Crawford is also moving up in weight, making him even more dangerous. His message to Canelo was clear: underestimate Crawford, and you could be making a serious mistake. Daniel Jacobs carefully considers the technical aspects of both fighters before giving his opinion. He notes that Canelo Alvarez is powerful and experienced.
They're not going to give me my due because I'm going to have 3 or 4 losses. And that's what's happening. Guys won't fight anybody that the fans want to see, or a fighter that's deserving. You're absolutely right. David Benavidez deserved the fight Canelo, but Canelo doesn't want to fight him because he knows there's a greater chance of him losing versus Benavidez versus Bigger Charlo. And so that's what. Now, am I going to go see the if it happens, Bud Crawford? Oh, absolutely. We'll be there, Stephen A. We'll see Bud Crawford and Canelo. And I want to see that fight. But I would rather see him fight Benavidez. I agree with you.
But Terence Crawford brings an advanced set of tools into the ring that makes him an unpredictable and dangerous opponent. Jacobs highlights that Crawford's adaptability allows him to switch styles mid-fight, confusing opponents and neutralizing their strengths. This ability, combined with his sharp reflexes and ring IQ, could cause major problems for Canelo. Jacobs stresses that while Canelo has proven his toughness against heavy hitters like Gennady Golovkin, enduring Crawford's speed, precision, and tactical intelligence will be an entirely different type of challenge.
For instance, when he fought the guy that he lost to just recently.
Bivol,
yeah. Shout out to Bivol. He wasn't really able to find that niche there, but in spurts, you can see him adapting, right? And so the biggest difference between Bivol and Crawford is the size difference in the power. Even though Bivol was an ultimate boxer, he still was able to keep him off him with the sheer power and strength. But with Crawford, I think that it'll be challenging for Canelo to get around the skill set, but it wouldn't be challenging for him to be able to endure the pain. And so that's what Canelo would, because the mindset too is, if you can't hurt me, no matter what you do, I'm going to keep coming forward. Yeah. So if Canelo could adapt that mindset, take the shots, because he's going to be throwing, and if you look at the stats too, in terms of punch output, in terms of landing punches, like just the whole stat, Crawford is leading. And so I do think that it's a tough fight, but I would lean more towards Crawford simply of his, skill set.
Is this the biggest fight for his legacy? If obviously he wins, I think.
Crawford.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it would be the biggest win. Sure. But given the fact that a lot of people, I think, expect Canelo to win because of the weight, where do you rank this in comparison to that huge fight with Errol Spence?
So if Canelo wins, it would be one of his most top tier wins. But it would also be expected. So I don't know if it would take the umph off of it, rather the other way around, because of the size difference and what all Canelo has been accomplishing for the last however many years,
For these reasons, Jacobs places his confidence in Crawford, believing his superior skill set gives him the edge. Oladipo explains that Crawford has a special quality that separates him from most fighters: the ability to inflict damage in ways that are not purely dependent on brute force. He believes Crawford's timing and accuracy allow him to land shots that opponents never see coming, making them more damaging than they appear on the surface. According to Oladipo, this quality is precisely why he favors Crawford in a matchup against Canelo. He argues that Alvarez, though durable, can be outmaneuvered by fighters who maintain discipline and avoid being drawn into slugfests. Crawford excels in this area, consistently staying patient.
To put that pressure on himself. He's done what no one's ever done before. 2-time undisputed world champion. So why not just enjoy? But obviously you want to go for that next challenge. Now for him, he wants to go for Canelo, I would advise him not to go for that. But if he's the man and he knows how good he is himself. So I can't really say to him that do this or do that. So really,
he believes in his skills. He feels
he believes in his skill. We can't answer for him. We let him go and do it. You know what I'm saying? And we all might be wrong. He might be even stronger than Canelo. He might be stronger than Canelo. He might pack the weight on well. That he might do really well in there. So look,
you fought them both. Like, what are the differences between them? Obviously, it's weight.
Canelo's strong and he's easily hit. Very easily. Compared to when I fought against Crawford, I couldn't even hit clean. So really, that's the difference. And they both hit hard. Because and you can see the strength. You know, when I was fighting against Crawford, I didn't think Crawford was that strong, but when he kind of moved me around a little bit, he is very strong as well. So look, but why does he need to give that much weight? He's pound for pound #1 in the world. Why does he have to go up and fight Canelo?
I don't
prove anything.
Canelo would say payday, but Crawford wants to be 3-time undisputed. And if he does that, oh my goodness.
Wow. I mean, that would be unreal. But look, if he believes in himself, yes, go for it. But don't do it if he's got second thoughts. If he's got second thoughts, don't do it. If he has to be 100% confident, and listen, I'll even go and help him for that if I have to. You know what I mean? Because look, I love Crawford. I think he's a lovely guy. Because I got to know him when I trained with him away from the boxing ring, away from boxing, and the he's a diamond. You know what I mean? So if I can help him in any way, I'd love to do that. But look, but if I was him, just enjoy what you've got now, and don't take no risks.
I think you just got to watch the Bivol blueprint, the in and out. I mean, a lot of fighters getting stick now for being runners, Tom and Jerry and whatnot. But stick to it.
Until opportunities present themselves. For Oladipo, this unique combination of intelligence and punching effectiveness is why he has always leaned toward Crawford as the likely winner. Boozy Ennis praises Crawford's efficiency inside the ring, pointing out that every punch he throws has a clear purpose. Unlike many fighters who sometimes waste energy on unnecessary shots, Crawford carefully calculates when and how to strike, and emphasizes that this discipline reflects Crawford's high boxing IQ, allowing him to maximize both accuracy and impact. By conserving energy and choosing the right moments, Crawford prevents opponents from finding openings to counter. This habit also makes him extremely dangerous over the course of long fights as he maintains stamina while gradually breaking down his rivals.
But he fought a very, very good Canelo. I don't think that Crawford is fighting the best Canelo anymore. Again, the Canelo I'm talking about, I mean, second Golovkin fight, I thought was fucking incredible. That was, when was that? Jeez, that feels like a long, long time ago. Second Golovkin fight was 2018. So I'm saying peak Canelo, although still very, very good people, peak Canelo for me was 6 years ago. It's a long time, or 5.5 years. That's a long time. In fact, exactly 15th of September. So it'll be to the day 5 years. Have I got them? What was I talking about? Sorry, almost 7 years ago. Jeez, that's a long time ago. Where some might say peak Crawford was Errol. So, shit, I didn't realize how long ago that was. And he's clearly not that same guy anymore. It clearly isn't. He's no longer fighting elite fighters. I mean, unless you're going to say William Skull was elite, Edgar Berlanga, no, Munguia, no, Jamel, no, John Ryder, no, third Golovkin fight, no. So he's no longer fighting the best, but he still is very good, and he's still a top 168 pounder. And I think this is why people are saying it is a 50-50 fight now, because we can see the deterioration in Canelo. Like, say what you want about William Skull. Canelo looked poor in that fight as well. Everyone's like, oh, William Skull ran. Well, Canelo didn't cut off the exits. Canelo wasn't great himself. Canelo's punch output was horrendous. So we can clearly see the deterioration. That said, he is the naturally bigger guy. I just mentioned the fact that Crawford's put on size, but the naturally bigger guy in this weight class is Canelo. That has to count for something.
Andis believes this level of control and precision will be essential in a fight with Canelo where every small advantage matters against such a seasoned opponent. Diego Pacheco provides a balanced assessment by acknowledging both fighters' paths to victory. He points out that Crawford, with his sharp technique and defensive awareness, is more likely to accumulate points across 12 rounds rather than stopping a fighter as resilient as Canelo.
Ability to outbox Canelo. You got to look at, and then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. His head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Irislan, De Lara, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that. But I don't know how Crawford is going to respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee, So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about this might be, people might kill me for it, but not really, but this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them, at least, right? You talk about Canelo and Crawford going up against him. So the only thing they have, but I would say the only thing he has going for him is he's a skillful fighter. And
on the other hand, Pacheco recognizes Canelo's immense power, particularly to the body, which gives him a legitimate chance of scoring a knockout if he connects cleanly. According to Pacheco, this contrast highlights the styles at play. Crawford's mastery of distance and combinations against Canelo's heavy hands and pressure. The outcome, in his view, will depend on which fighter succeeds in dictating the pace of the fight. Ade Oladipo reflects on Canelo's career trajectory, noting that while the Mexican star remains elite, he is no longer the same unstoppable force he once appeared to be. He recalls the Golovkin rematch in 2018 as a peak version of Alvarez, a night when his skill, strength, and confidence seemed unmatched.
The fight. Watch. And he usually slows down between 6 and 7. You slow down, that's a fucking wrap.
That's what you've been seeing in these last couple fights from him?
I mean, yeah. Fuck yeah. I done seen him slow down, going into the later rounds, and I done seen his ass get outboxed.
Brian McIntyre, and I will say this openly, is one of the best trainers in boxing. He absolutely knows his job, and I know he knows his job better than I know his job. So take my observation with a grain of salt. However, sometimes I get these things right, and I think that Brian McIntyre is making a miscalculation. Now, what do I mean? He basically said that one of the biggest advantages that Terence Crawford has over Canelo Alvarez is that Canelo Alvarez slows down, and that he says that after round 6, round 7, that Canelo Alvarez usually starts slowing down, and if he slows down against Terence Crawford, that is going to be a very, very huge mistake, and Terence Crawford is going to be able to take advantage of that. All right. First and foremost, let me say this. If it was the case that Terence Crawford was fighting Canelo Alvarez at 147 pounds, or even at 154 pounds, and Canelo Alvarez started slowing down, that definitely could be very, very big trouble against a guy like Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford is an incredible counterpuncher.
Oladipo underlines that this was 7 years ago, and since then Canelo's performances, though still strong, have shown signs of decline. He suggests that sparring with young and hungry fighters like John Boots Ennis might be an effort to regain sharpness that has naturally faded with time. This raises a question of whether Canelo's current form is enough to handle Crawford, who is operating at the height of his powers. Oladipo's perspective casts doubt on whether experience alone can make up for the erosion of peak athleticism. Regis Progress strongly challenges the idea that Crawford's power will trouble Canelo. He argues that Alvarez has already taken punches from naturally bigger fighters, including heavy-handed champions, without showing significant vulnerability. Progress emphasizes Canelo's reputation for having one of the strongest chins in boxing, a trait that makes him exceptionally difficult to hurt. However, Prograde does not dismiss Crawford entirely. He admits that Crawford's tactical intelligence, movement, and ability to adjust give him a chance to win by outboxing Canelo. Still, he believed that power alone will not be enough, and Crawford will have to rely heavily on skill and strategy if he hopes to secure victory against such a physically imposing opponent.